Where was the Jeff? Okay, I want to watch the Jeff Kaplan interview too.
There's 3 types of fun. Fun.
Hey guys, Jeff from the Overwatch team here. Okay, where was the? Wait, this is most replayed. What was the why Titan failed? Overwatch in 6 weeks. Oh, why Jeff left Blizzard. All right, let's watch the why Jeff left Blizzard section.
So now there's this wave in the live game and events, but the pressure on creating Overwatch 2 was building.
Yeah, we had a coalition on the team that was really wanted Overwatch 2 built instead of the live events, and then the executive pressure became monumental. And what would have been
Something else that happened around this time, chat, was in this like pre-COVID time, there was this massive pressure created by, it was actually created by Epic largely. Riot also kind of put pressure on Blizzard, but not quite as much. But basically, Epic and the success of Fortnite pressured everyone in the industry to make games as a service work, to make live games work. And Jeff Kaplan was part
to
of
do more world
having to try to
events,
fix
like keep
that.
it going. But the major derail was Overwatch League.
Yeah.
And we really like the weirdest part about Overwatch League is I believe in it. You know, I helped pitch it along with some other people. We thought it was like the future of esports and doing regional based teams, ensuring minimum player salaries and player protections. Like there was a lot of very good about Overwatch League.
And there'd be teams associated with particular cities.
Yes.
And it'd be international, it'd be real competition.
I'm curious how, because I'm going to be honest, I think I was also wrong about esports and where I viewed this. Just like I am constantly reminded every day in the comment section of this. There's like one short that I made about Deadlock that I get comments on every day because apparently I'm wrong about Deadlock, which I actually think I am probably wrong about it. Something else that I was wrong about that I never like made a call about. I can tell you guys like internally, I was like, I genuinely thought esports was going to take off, and I thought that I'm actually shocked at sort of how bad Overwatch League was, given like the investment. Yeah, I think the other thing is I'm shocked that esports just didn't take off in the way that I thought they would. They really did like kind of bubble and pull back. And now a lot of the competitive games that we see now, you would argue that the bigger aspect of competitive games is actually like game competitions, or where the money is actually in sponsoring like entertaining creators and streamers. And it's less on serious best on best esports. And it's more about like creating fun, big events. And if anything, even the traditional sports world is moving more into the entertainment side of things and less into the pure competition side of things.
So the dream, the ambition was really huge there.
Yeah, the team's part of the dream was more of like regional based player protection.
I still, given the potential upside, though, I don't necessarily know if this was a bad idea.
Try to make esports more of a first class citizen, because there were all these stories about like shady teams, you know, screwing their players over. Where it got away from us was there was a lot of excitement about Overwatch League, like too much so, and then it got over marketed to the people buying the teams. They went on this road show.
They were
where
so
they had
expensive,
a deck, basically, and like you could put anything in a deck and sell anything, and they were pretty much selling the Brooklyn Bridge that Overwatch League was going to be more popular than the NFL, and we got a bunch of billionaire investors in these.
That was, I'm going to be honest, this was me kind of, I wasn't that bullish on it, but that would have been me as a strategist at Riot. I thought esports was going to be way bigger than it ended up being, and it really did cool off. But what's funny is I was not that bullish. I know of the people who were, and who are constantly saying like this is going to be like the actual future of gaming, like they are not of gaming, the future of entertainment and competition and stuff like that.
Teams, and when 2018 started, like for example, the day I got back, they said we signed.
I have not played
huge deal with
Online.
Twitch for streaming of Overwatch League, like a media rights deal, and that means that here's all these commitments we made for Overwatch League of like in-game stuff that had to exist. Like a lot of it was integration with Twitch and camera control and that kind of stuff. The other part of it was a bunch of skins and uniforms for all the teams, which was not just getting the art in the game, but there was huge technical challenges to like
CXX55. Yeah, like a lot of the reason why traditional sports can exist is because they grew up in the broadcast environment. And this is actually a great point. The problem with with esports now is the money has to come from sponsors, and that's just not where the money comes from in traditional sports. The money comes from, like, sure, sponsors are a big part of it, but broadcasting rights is the biggest one, right?
how all that worked
And you
was
can't,
efficient
and you're
and
right,
hit the right
you can't
memory
pull that
footprint
back.
and all that
It's
kind of stuff.
already free, right? So.
And so all of your plans at that point kind of go out the window. Like, you're not going to work on new world events. You're not really even focused on Overwatch 2. You're just kind of treading water.
Mhm.
There was a lot of talk of like, oh God, the deal didn't go well, and we've got to do make goods to make the deal better for them. I'm like, just give them some money back, like if the deal isn't what people wanted, like putting it on us, the Overwatch team, to like support this beast.
Yeah.
And it was a great idea that the wrong instincts and sort of, I don't know how to phrase this in a
I would be curious about, I think a direct question I would ask Jeff if I was interviewing him here, and again, Lex wouldn't know to ask this, but the really direct question you'd ask is, did the success of League of Legends and the pressure from Riot internationally cause you guys to overinvest in the Overwatch League? Because my guess is the answer is yes.
way that's not damning, but there was too much focus on let's make lots of money really fast. And a lot of people got dragged into it. And while Overwatch League was great for Overwatch in terms of the players that it brought in, like, and the Overwatch League players, they were awesome. I love them. The Overwatch League staff at Blizzard, some of the nicest, most motivated, great creative people.
Yeah, that was true for
like
like
all
the
these
esports people at
organizations
Riot.
got built, and they were all great, but it was a house of cards.
What's up, the Mexican BR? What's up,
It became
Technomancer? What's
more
up,
about
guys?
the money versus the quality of the experience of the different teams playing together and actually building this ecosystem of esports.
The financial reality kicked in, where these teams, now we didn't just have executives at Activision and Blizzard who cared about the bottom line of Overwatch. We had all these people who basically invested in the game, and then they started
Overwatch League was way too big for the amount of people that played the game.
express their opinions. Originally, the business model was
And I have another blistering take, which is like there are games that are meant to just be really fun games and are very fun and successful competitive games, but just are not a great viewership experience. And Overwatch is one of them. Overwatch is just not a great. Overwatch and Marvel Rivals both are just really fucking fun to play. They are not great games to watch. Like, just full stop. They're just not that great of games to watch.
going to be that they were going to do in-person events, and there's going to be big ticket sales and then merch, and all of that. And I think really quickly everybody learned, like, yeah, we can't do in-game events when you have a London team and a Shanghai team. And
yeah, that's another aspect. Like, people don't realize that doing in-person events of teams, I mean, it's why it is why the way Riot structured it, all of the teams are located in LA, the North American teams. All of the teams for Korea are all located in Seoul, right? There is no other sport in the world that would have teams travel that much. I mean, it's like a big deal that like the NFL goes and what do? They do like, they're doing like one game down in Mexico, like one game over in the UK, and one game over in like Australia. And that's the NFL. You even see this with like hockey and baseball have an interesting thing. Well, like, because they're like there's a lot of coverage of hockey. I mean, like a lot of teams in North America. I guess basketball too. Hockey actually maybe is one of the better ones because of how many teams there are in Canada. When a team from like say the Florida Panthers all the way down in Florida goes on a road show, like they play all the Canadian teams before flying back. That's how they have to schedule it. One game, brother, they do like 5 now. Yeah, the NHL does travel a lot. Yeah, I mean, no, I'm saying like that, like, but you know what I mean? It's like those aren't regular games. It's not like there's a team that regularly hosts MLB games or regularly hosts NFL games, right? Those are an event that they go out of their way to do.
Like, how does this work? So that fell apart super quickly. The merch was good, but it wasn't going to be making NFL level money, whatever insanity anybody thought that was going to be. So everybody quickly defaulted back to, hey, didn't Overwatch make like $500 million just in the live game last year? What can we sell and what can you give us? That pressure comes onto the team.
And then it was the
And
team
then the
need to
pressure
develop
to ship
products
Overwatch
within.
2 and all care and love that we had for like the live game and the live let's just make events and new heroes and new maps. We're losing all these resources. And it got to the point, you know, my exit at Blizzard, I believed in Overwatch 2. I think we could have made a great game. I have a lot of hindsight of.
Right, like this is the thing. I know for NFL, yeah, they ship gear by boat like months prior. I mean, and then like even just the whole logistics of merch stuff, like there's crazy
how I would have designed that
stuff
game
that's done.
differently with what I know now versus what ultimately we didn't ship. And there's Overwatch 2 is out now, but it's not the Overwatch 2 that we planned and announced.
So when you're referring to Overwatch 2 in this
is
conversation,
the
you're referring to
PvE.
the PvE version.
The PvE version.
Which, by the way, I would have loved to play. I'm one of the people that were Overwatch is great, but the PvP. But I would have loved to play the PvE version.
I think everybody would have loved to have played it. And
I think another thing with Overwatch, and this is what concerns me, is a lot of these games are games that it's like people are trying to plan to be these big cultural phenomenons, and it's real, like especially as a live service game, that is so difficult, and it's why Concord and all these other games failed. Funny enough, the way Valve is handling Deadlock is actually probably the correct way to do it, and it's why Deadlock is succeeding, despite my one YouTube short that gets me in a lot of trouble. But because they are just sort of taking it way slower and like letting people like actually like crave and get desire on the game and then iterating on it and like keeping it sort of in a place of constant development before fully unveiling it. But then you had these like in a way they're kind of like validating that people actually want Deadlock before they invest more and more in it. Whereas like things like Concord or High Guard or whatever the fuck that one game was were developed and they just assumed that people really, really wanted those games. They launched them and then people just don't want them. And Valve is also unfair because Valve has unlimited money and doesn't and is a private company. So
there's a misconception online that all I cared about was PvE and I didn't care about PvP. All of the Overwatch 2 PvP maps were something that I said to the team over and over. We have a PvP audience. If we get anything right, it has to be the PvP. We would be lucky to welcome these PvE players, but that's not guaranteed. So it was never a PvE only focus.
It's just almost expanding it to also the E.
And what eventually broke me was it used to be like in 2016 and 2017, I felt very in control of the Overwatch team and the direction of the game as a game director.
This is the part that any game devs in chat need to listen to, or anyone who's interested in working in video games. Was he felt in control in 2016, 2017. And I think it's like it's around either the end of 2000, it's either in 2017 or 2018. Something big comes into video games that changes how all of the executives at the major companies view things. And that's Fortnite. Fortnite and their game is they broke the game as a service model and completely changed how all these companies viewed games, and it put so much pressure on the creatives, on the directors, coming from the executives, coming from CMOs and CFOs who basically would constantly just have images of Fortnite in their decks being like, why are we not doing this? How do we do this? Etc. Yeah, a similar thing is kind of like how Netflix broke television and broke the television industry. And then what's really funny is So the game devs are now like, oh, okay, well, like, well, that's not the case now. I mean, we're so many years now. It's like friend slop is like the new thing that's doing this to video. The new Epic. What I'm guessing Jeff Kaplan is about to describe after 2016, 2017 is the result of Epic and Fortnite. What is happening now in video games? All of the big decisions are being made about Roblox. Roblox is now the thing which was funny because I was on that one podcast talking to I was talking to like Christian about it, and he thought I was memeing about like how like insane Roblox is, but Roblox is changing the landscape of video games, and every single like big suit at the companies are all looking at Roblox.
Working with Ray Gresco as the production director, felt like we were running Overwatch,
Mhm.
and we were very, very successful and doing a good job. And I think the fans were happy.
Also, wasn't the first year of Overwatch 2016? Because I remember when Overwatch first came out, that game, I had an addiction. Yeah, it was 2016 Overwatch. I had an addiction to that game like you wouldn't believe. It was so, oh my God. Overwatch, like early Overwatch was so good. Fun fact, we actually got in trouble. I remember this. We got in we got in trouble because there was an esports tournament, not esports. Sorry, it was a what was it? Oh, it was a cross company tournament. That's right. So like Blizzard, all the tech companies and big video game companies played in it. So like Blizzard played in it, Riot played in it, Apple played in it, like Microsoft, EA, Sony, like Google, all these like big tech companies and video game companies had Overwatch teams that played in a tournament. It was in 2016 when Overwatch came out. I forgot the name of this league, but it was some like corpo. Imagine like some like tech corpo league, right? And two things got Riot in trouble. There was like it was almost like a beer league, but for like fucking Overwatch, right? And there's two things that got Riot in trouble. Number one was in the highest league, because there was different tiers. At the highest league, Riot got in trouble because Blizzard basically accused them of hiring pro players to win the league. When the reality was Riot just hired basically former pro like league players to join the playtest team at Riot, who also were just insane gamers. Insane. And they picked up Overwatch, and a bunch of them were, like Grandmaster. They were just insanely good. And they were officially employed by Riot. And so then they went and just dumpstered Blizzard's own tournament, and it was really funny. The second thing that got Riot in trouble was the team that I was on, and we were in like a slightly lower league, and we got in trouble for bad manners and like emoting on people. And also our team name got us in trouble. Our team name was so this is back when you could run multiple of the same heroes, and we were called Two Tracers, One Sup. So we only ran one support player, and then me and this other dude only played Tracer, and we would always like in the kill cams do the like Tracer emote to like show off her butt, and we got in trouble for that. But we ended up winning our division, and then the higher up Riot team won their division. And yeah, Riot got in trouble with Blizzard for all that stuff. Good times.
And then as we transitioned, Overwatch League was the best intention. My parents always say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That was the Overwatch League, and it ended up being an albatross. And then Overwatch 2 was the same thing. And what it boiled down for me, like what sort of ultimately broke me in my Blizzard career, was I got called in the CFO's office.
Yep.
And he sits me down and he says, he gives me a date, which at the time was 2020 and was going to slip to 2021, but at the time it was 2020. And he said, Overwatch has to make in 2020. And then every year after that, it needs a recurring revenue. And then he says to me, if it doesn't do dollars, we're going to lay off 1,000 people, and that's going to be on you. And that was just the biggest fuck you moment I had in my career. It felt surreal to be in that condition.
And again, that a lot of that pressure, and the only reason why he's not mentioning this as the reason why, but I know it was the reason why, because we had these same pressures at Riot and literally had those same ultimatums given to us. And it was, what number do you think he said? Probably $1 billion. I think they planned for Overwatch to be a like $1 billion, like $1 billion a year game. Maybe less, maybe more, but it was probably $1 billion. And that's not like a crazy thing like that. Like we used to talk about that at Riot. It was like, oh, are we developing like $1 billion games? Whoever the Blizzard CFO was at the time, I guarantee you so much of this pressure came from Epic and Fortnite.
And as somebody who's worked on a lot of games, made a lot of games, you get in these meetings where they're like, Fortnite has 1,400 people working on it. If you just hire
oh god, yes,
1,400 people and make it free to play, we'll make that money, right? And
yes. Oh my god. See, he did talk about it.
That was I had believed I would never work any place but Blizzard. I loved it. It was
He said by 2020, so that would be 4 to 5 years of revenue. So yeah, probably that number. No, chat. I'm not saying by 2020. I'm saying they probably wanted close to $1 billion a year in revenue. Not over the course of X, like they actually wanted one bill yearly. Now that's insane, but that's probably what they wanted.
It's a part of who I was, and I felt I was a part of it. And I literally thought I would retire from the place. I never thought the day would come. And
this is how I felt about Riot.
I was like, it's we're done here. Luckily for Blizzard, that CFO is no longer there.
I mean, Blizzard is one of the greatest companies in the history of Earth. They've created so many incredible video games. It's so difficult.
I like that Lex Friedman gives us that perspective and like lets us step back, and that is true. Blizzard really has created some amazing fucking games. Like,
it creates so many hits, and they were done not by chasing money. They're done by small, incredible teams, the hodgepodge that you describe, taking big risks and falling in love with the thing they do, and then just chasing it, working extremely hard. And just because you figured out a way how to make a lot of money doesn't mean it's not at the core this incredible creative journey.
There is a... So of the projects that I'm consulting on right now, chat, one of them is a massive project. So one of the projects I'm consulting on as a game dev is massive. It's pretty big. In fact, I don't know if you could name a bigger project than it. It's pretty big. The other one is so small and fun. And it's such a small, like it goes like we're talking about going from like one of the biggest projects you could work on to like such a small fun, and that's what I really love is getting to see like a small dev team build something that they really care about and love and just start putting their passion into. And that's really where I think games end up shining more.
Incredibly difficult to pull off. And just because you got a bunch of really smart, creative people who have somehow figured out how to pull it off multiple times in a row doesn't mean you can just treat it like a machine. Every single time, it's this beautiful journey of a hodgepodge of weirdos working together, and weirdos have to run that thing. If you ever have a chance to create something special, you have to have weirdos at the helm. And at the degree to which you don't have weirdos at the helm, creative minds at the helm, and you're a business person at the helm, get out of their way. Right? You cannot have the meetings like.
Listen, you do actually need those like business minded people, the revenue strategists, like people like, and granted, I do a mix of literally like creative design work, but also revenue strategy work. But there are times where I'm actually very much one of those people where I'm like, I get out of the way of people. I never micromanage creatives. And I like whenever I work on any of these game dev projects, I'm one of those people where I'm like, my taste and my personal preference just won't matter as much as just getting something out there that we're passionate about, right?
You're describing. And I don't just speak about this particular company. It's just the entire industry. I just there's so much joy to be had if we keep creating great games, and I just hope we get to see those great games.
I think there's a message to creative people out there and people who make stuff. We're so focused on the love of the craft that we get lost in it and we love doing it. Um, and we're not cutthroat and we don't have that kind of ambition. We have a different kind of ambition. But there's this whole world, especially as soon as you're lucky enough to have success, that are very cutthroat and very ambitious. And for whatever reason, we keep giving ourselves to them. And we need to stop giving ourselves. World of Warcraft, when we made it, there was no CFO at Blizzard. You don't need a CFO to make World of Warcraft. You need artists, engineers, designers, producers, and an audio team.
You don't need to bring in just because you're making a lot of money. It doesn't mean you need to now start adulting by bringing in a CFO. You can
Yeah.
figure it out.
And there are great finance guys. Like I've worked with finance guys who get it and get out of the way and respect and they're gamers.
I think no, this is the thing. Who get it and they're gamers. That was the difference. And that was actually something that was Riot's strength. Was Riot would hire like a strategist who like worked for like McKinsey, right? They'd hire some guy who was like a strategist who worked for McKinsey, who was just a diehard fucking gamer who loved playing games. And so what was cool was you could be in meetings. What you want is you want someone who could be in meetings who, instead of being like, well, how do we optimize the revenue of this? Who is willing to be like, well, option A will give us the most money, but option B is fucking cool and kind of nice. And I feel like our players will like us more. And that's what you actually wanted. You wanted someone who was willing to be like, hey, this will get us money. And this will also get us money. It's going to give us less money, but probably just feels better as a player.
Guys, like I've worked with finance guys who get it.
I love when Blau talks about gaming. I feel like it's in his expertise. I mean, yeah, because guys, as I've always, but I know it sounds like I'm in my expertise, but guys, it's not like when everyone knows that when I'm not streaming, I'm only dicking around playing hockey. Like there's no way that I've secretly been working for like, I don't know, like Rockstar Games or something for the last 4 years. Like that'd be crazy, right? Like I'm not a game dev anymore, guys. I'm washed up.
And get out of the way and respect and they're gamers and they sort of understand. But like I wish developers would understand their own value more and stop handing the golden goose to people who don't deserve it.
How painful was it to say goodbye?
It broke me. I think after you've been at a place like Blizzard, which I love Blizzard to this day. I have nothing but warm, fond memories. I mean, there's those moments where you're like, I wish that hadn't happened. But on the whole, that place is mecca for game development. And everything I have is due to Blizzard. They provided for me and my family, made me the person I am. So separating from Blizzard was one of the most painful things. And I was very...
Blau, you also love Riot, right? I think a little bit less than Jeff likes Blizzard. I think a little bit less than Jeff. There are a lot of people at Riot that I really liked, but a lot of those people aren't even there anymore. I actually will tell you guys, I really like Mark Merrill and Brandon Beck. Like the two founders of Riot actually were awesome. And they genuinely have the best intentions at heart. And I liked some of the like OGs from Riot. Riot had any number of issues though. And I can literally tell you guys who I didn't fuck with at Riot. I didn't fuck with HR and I didn't fuck with the social media team. The social media team I didn't fuck with because I did their job better than them and it wasn't my job. I used to just fucking engagement farm and do random shit on Twitter and connect with the players, even though that wasn't my fucking job. People thought I was like some comms person. Meanwhile, that wasn't even my fucking job. I was just shooting the shit with players on Twitter, randomly 1v1ing Tyler 1. There was that. And then secondly, and this was a genuine problem at Riot, was there was the whole culture and mistreatment of women at Riot that also occurred at Blizzard, that also occurred at a bunch of these other big video game companies, and Riot got clapped for that. And then the thing is, Riot's response to it, though, was so drastic the other way that people basically learned that they could weaponize a reporting system at Riot to basically just report coworkers that they didn't like for no fucking reason. Which is why I got reported to HR for the most hilarious. I've told you guys these stories. The things that I got reported to HR for were fucking hilarious. I got reported to HR at Riot. And listen, if they want to come for me with after the non-disparagement agreement, which by the way I'm pretty sure doesn't even hold up in California anymore. Thank God those rules. I'll tell you guys, they came after me. For oh wow, I shouldn't have that fucking popping up. That's a work meeting that shouldn't be popping up. They came after me for hold on 1 second. How do I close a Zoom notification? Okay. They came after me for posting a picture on Twitter of me and my then girlfriend. Now she's my ex, but it was T. It was a picture of us like in swimsuits at a pool party in LA. And what's crazy is the picture was literally like from the chest up. Like it wasn't even like a bad, it was just us like it was just a selfie of us at a pool party. And I was the one that got reported to HR for it. I got reported for that. I got reported for being on the Scuffed podcast with Trainwrecks, which, honestly, that's pretty fair. But yeah, and then what's crazy is I talked to someone who I really fucked with, who I really liked, who was on the social media team. And they even told me like later on, they're like, oh yeah, like there were people who just didn't like you, and there were like literally Slack conversations with people like kind of like going after you. And then the craziest thing is I didn't know who these people, this was the wild thing. I didn't know who they were. Like when I finally got names about these people, I was like, oh my God, I don't know who the fuck that, I'd never even met them. But yeah, people basically weaponize that. And that's why I used to always have like shitty run-ins with like HR and with like the fucking, oh God, there was HR, and then there was a level above HR called rioter relations. They were like the CIA of HR, and they were even worse. It was really bad. But again, it's like one of those where it's like I understand why they react. Like I understand. It was just. I think the thing that maybe irked me was I wouldn't have been as upset if like they looked at me and like, okay, this guy is like giving off like frat bro vibes. He's like doing these like meme tweets on Twitter, and he's like not helping Riot with like the image that we're like some fucking frat. And that women are mistreated here. But it's like the thing that kind of pained me is I was like, okay, but I was actually dating a coworker that we like reported that relationship to HR, and we were in a cute, wholesome relationship between two coworkers, not some creepy, predatory relationship between two coworkers. We were in completely separate departments, and it was kind of wholesome and cute. Meanwhile, there were people who were working at Riot at the higher up level who were known fucking sex pests and who were known fucking creeps and were getting exposed, and they were the ones getting covered while people like me were getting fucking shafted and thrown into fucking meetings with HR all the time. That's what was like, that was the part that, so I wouldn't have been as upset if like they were clapping me, if they were also clapping the fucking weirdos who were actually doing the weird shit, you know? I do a League of Epstein's. Yeah, honestly, Lasmaria. Okay, this is the other spicy thing that I probably can't like. I can't verify. I mean, this one's like harder to verify, but basically, I have pretty good reason to believe that there were people at Riot that reported me because they were jealous and or just upset that I was dating that girl. and like one of them was like someone who was in love with her. I'm not even kidding. Like there was like a guy at Riot that was in love with my girlfriend that I was dating at the time, and that's one of the guys who was like fucking reporting me, which is fucking crazy. Which again, like weirdly enough, is actually more indicative of that weird fucking creepy entitled gamer guy culture than me just fucking being there and I don't know, consensually dating someone. Like, yeah, actual fucking chud moves. So Jeff Kaplan, he had a whole family at Blizzard. So I think he had a better sort of I think he views them a little bit more fondly than me.
Sad when I resigned, and I didn't realize how broken I was until recently.
Bro
Like the
wanted his Discord
morning
kid in fantasy.
grieving I
Exactly.
had gone through of like, I think I'm a little fucked in the head for not being there any. How could I give that up? How could I not be there anymore? It was really, really painful leaving.
Can we just speak to?
That was painful
I
for
don't know.
me
I
leaving
don't
too.
think we can give enough love to Blizzard. It's a legendary company. For me personally, for everybody, for millions of people, created some of the greatest games ever: Warcraft, StarCraft universe, Diablo, WoW, Overwatch. What made it such a legendary?
You know what's crazy is of these games, the ones that really hit for me I feel like I'm an odd one out. StarCraft and Overwatch were the ones who I bet you hate coffee because your body is Jesus Christ, Hamoud. What's happening to you?
Game company. Just looking.
When I worked at a large bookstore, when I found out two supervisors were dating, I said nothing. They would have been fired because it was against. But that was the thing: is me and my girlfriend at the time at Riot, it was not. It was okay for us to date. Like that was we literally were people are like Facebook official. We were HR official. Like they knew. Like we reported our relationship, and they didn't violate any company policies.
Back at the whole of it.
The start is Mike, Alan, and Frank. It was run by 3 gamers. They were all 3 of them programmers. They made the games before they just ran the company. So they knew what each of us as developers beneath them were going through, and they protected us. They shielded us from all of the nonsense. And even when they would align with a business person, they had a COO in the early days named Paul Sams. And Paul protected us. You know, they found great people who got it. The company, when I joined, was like 95% developers and like 5% operations. When I left, it was, 50-50, and that's like a 4,500 person company.
I'm not trying to like shit on this kind of thing, but when there is someone when there's like not even just an individual, but like when there's a department at the company where it's like there are multiple people in charge of making events for the company, like company events for the company, like you're just a little cooked. You're just a little cooked at that point.
That love of the games and the respect and good treatment for game developers really turned it into the place that it was. Just the commitment to excellence, the high quality bar, and then finding these passionate people like Chris Metzen or Sam Didier. They were like the visionaries of early Blizzard, Alan Adham, of just these worlds that we're still making and we're still playing in today. It was infectious and it was inspirational. And you wore the Blizzard blue with an esprit de corps. Like you felt proud to be part of it.
This was a similar feeling to Riot. And there was a degree of camaraderie, a degree of like almost identity. Like it wasn't just, oh, this is my job. It was like, oh, this is my life. Which by the way is a little nefarious at times.
And you felt like you had made it to be there. And everything you did wanting to respect and honor.
Yeah, this is a big thing. Alcohol during company events are becoming a thing of the past. Yeah, like just no one's doing like company events like that and letting people get drunk anymore. It's just, which is a good
Those
thing,
who had
honestly.
come before you. I know it sounds almost cheesy saying it that way, but it really had that sense of reverence. Like you knew you were part of something special. You didn't take it for granted.
Yeah, that's the sense. Reading everything, that's the sense I got. Everybody that was a part of it, they truly, truly, truly honored that time. Just to take a small slice, what were some of the brains? So you mentioned Chris Metzen. You gave so much love to so many people on the team, but I got to ask about Chris Metzen. who I would, by the way, love to do a podcast with at some point. What were the brainstorming sessions with him like? It seems like those are pretty like awesome.
They were the best. Like, you could walk into a room, like the way I would work with Chris, some of the art
Well, so,
generation, and it's
well,
talk
I
about
wanted to
Grizzly
get to this.
Hills.
Hold on. The Legend
I
of
don't know if this is
California.
something that you can talk about, but I got a chance to see the game for a few hours, and I have to say it's incredible, Jeff. Like, it's incredible. But I almost immediately fell in love with the world and everything I saw. See, I'm tempted to say some of the things I saw, but it's just an incredible game. So how much can you talk about it? Do you know what it's going to be called? Can you talk about that? Do you know about the company? Are you allowed to say any of that?
Sure. The most unconventional way to talk about this stuff for the first time. So, our company name is Kintsugi, which most people will struggle to pronounce.
Nice.
And the company name
Kintsugi.
has a deep meaning to me, which I'm happy to explain later if you're interested. And the game name that we're working on, it's called The Legend of California. And it's an open world game. People are going to call it a survival crafting game. People like to compartmentalize these. I think it's an action game. It's a game that takes place on a mythical island of California
In the 1800s.
in the gold rush. If you're
In Gold
trying to
Rush.
if you're trying to nail the most important time in California history, it's got to be that gold rush.
So it's this beautiful, almost ultra realistic version of California, but it's an alternate history, alternate version of California, where it's an
Yes.
island, almost like a Atlantis type of ethereal island, but still very realistic to what the California terrain is and that
Correct.
time period. So it's this weird, like, amalgamation of this ultra realistic and the surreal.
The theme of the game is very weird. We're not trying to make a historical game. There's no historical accuracy to this. In fact, the island, when first discovered, is uninhabited. That's already not true, as we know. There were lots of people in California. It's an island, which we know is not true. Um, we want it to
Interesting.
feel authentic to that time period because we think that time period is cool. Prospectors, cowboys. Like, it's a really fun thing for us to explore all of those themes. People in mines. We want to build mines, and we just want to create a world that you can live in. I love creating worlds. Everything that I've worked on before, from
I feel like
World
Jeff
of
Kaplan would
Warcraft to
really like some of
Overwatch,
the
it's
role
always
play
been how do you
stuff,
create this
honestly.
place for players to escape to. So
So it's an online multiplayer game. I should say the experience of it is just gorgeous. And then the music is wonderful.
I'm
I'm
guessing
glad you like it.
it
And
will
one of
have
my
role
favorite
play
things
come
is
up
just
for
going
it.
down to the mine and digging. I mean, that's done extremely well. And as you described, the whole world is voxels. So it's generated. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, as a world, we handcrafted the world. So, like, the shape of California is always the familiar shape of California, except it's an island. So, there's no Nevada on the eastern side. We handcrafted all of that. It looks gorgeous, and places like Yosemite are where you would expect Yosemite to be, and so all of those familiar landmarks are there. But then we have like dozens of points of
Oh, it's very
interest,
Rust-like.
and those move around the map and depending on the map seed. And the map is also tiered in terms of difficulty. We don't really have levels in this game. We have tiers, and there's only 4 tiers right now. Maybe that will change. But the way that the map tiers itself each time changes with every world seed. So not only any server that you join will have a different seed in terms of how the tiers play out. So Mojave might be the easiest newbie area on your server, but on my server, it's end game tier 4 area. But all
Interesting.
of our notable points of interest also move around. So we have a really amazing point of interest that we call Dread Rock that's inspired by Alcatraz. And like, sure, sometimes it's in San Francisco, but sometimes it can be sitting in the middle of the Mojave Desert also.
It
Ah.
integrates it into the environment to where it makes sense to
Yeah.
be in that environment. And like you said, so much of what makes a world is sound and lighting. And
Yes.
that's definitely a thing that I've noticed. I mean, it's probably the most beautiful sunset and sunrise I've seen in a game.
We have a great lighting artist who is an amazing guy named Mike Marr.
I will say one thing I am nervous about when going to play this game is like I'm just so like even if it's coming out in like what 2026, 2027, it's just gonna be so like even 10 years later, I'm worried about how the world of like California feels compared to like Red Dead Redemption 2, right? Which has some aspects of California in it, which is like, ugh, that's tough.
And some of the inspiration for the game, like there's a lot of inspirations for this game, but there's a painter named Albert Bierstadt who I discovered while researching California, and he painted these just epic landscape pieces of, Yosemite and a lot of other of the gorgeous parts
Yeah,
of.
we're looking at one photo of his.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And these paintings were huge too. I'd love to see one in person.
And so you see a painting like that, and you're saying, we want to create that world.
Yeah. I mean, when I see that painting, this is what video games brings to the table. So every art form that evolves after another gets to incorporate previous art forms.
Hmm.
Movies got to take sound and, fine art. We get to take everything, including movies. So, it's Katamari Damacy, the art form. But like, I see a Beardstat painting and I want to walk around that world. I want to see what's around the corner. And our lighting
That was
artist,
beautiful.
Mike, he sees these pictures and he's like, okay, yeah, hold my beer. Like, I'll make it look like that. We are all blown away by like how much impact just the lighting. And I'm not an artist, so I don't think about things like the color theory, the lights, the clouds, what all of that's bringing to this. I just know I want to live in that world. And these are the types of worlds that we want to make.
So what do you want the tone of the game to be, the feeling of the game?
This is really different. It's been hard for people when people were talking to us about, they know me and Tim and they're, oh, the Blizzard guys, the Overwatch guys, you're making like a bright aspirational future team based hero shooter, right? And I'm like, why would I want to do that? I felt like, first of all, respects to Blizzard, and I don't want to try to crib Blizzard and make a pseudo Blizzard game.
Yeah, that was something that actually happened when a bunch of people left Blizzard and then a bunch of people left Riot. I think a lot of the people that left Riot tried to like create an esports like game or create like a better version, like a modernized version of League of Legends. Whereas like, and I forgot the name of his studio, but it's part of a bigger studio or production company. It's called Dreamhaven, I believe. But they sounded like they wanted to just actually do something different than Blizzard.
I want to make a Kintsugi game.
Yeah, so it's Kintsugi, but I think Kintsugi is like a subsidiary of Dreamhaven.
This crack team, we're only 34 people. We want to define what a Kintsugi game is.
Just keep playing while I pee. And
this world seems so inspiring to us.
I want to listen to what his thoughts are.
The setting is really interesting. I think California can be a game world. I think we can make it beautiful and interesting. We don't have to follow history or geography. We can kind of do a spin where, it feels authentic. We can have guns that feel like they're kind of from that time period, but we're not spaceships and aliens and steampunk.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we would have done at Blizzard. We're going to be a little different here. So the tone of this game, Metzen would describe Blizzard as the hero factory. We make, and what he means by that is not only are we making heroes, but we make the players into heroes. Mm-hmm. This game is going to have an edgier tone. You're going to enter this world. It's going to feel lonelier. It's going to feel mysterious, larger than you. You're going to feel small until you earn the right to feel big. It's going to feel really dangerous. You're going to want to see what's over that next hill. But if the sun is setting, like, get to shelter. Can't wait to get back to my ranch and put my cozy fireplace on and wait till morning. We want more of that vibe.
It's more solitary, almost scary, but beautiful.
Yeah.
Greatest video game of all time.
Outside of those, what do you think are in the list?
Yeah, I want to hear what he thinks.
There's one that's the best. It's Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and then there's this list of greatest games: Zork, Ultima.
So Breath of the Wild is the best.
The greatest game ever made.
What makes it the greatest game ever made?
Wow,
every aspect is so thoughtful, so well designed. The art matches the design and the tech, and even integrating with the Switch in the way it does. How do you keep making Zelda better? How can Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time exist and somebody make an even better Zelda game?
Wow.
The way you can chop down a tree and float in a river, and like, the world is a toy and everything works as you wished and hoped it would work. And there's a narrative aspect to it. And there's really fun combat and action. And
I put Breath of the Wild up there. I do think Red Dead Redemption 2 is up there for me, chat. I really do think Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the greatest games of all time.
Itemization. There's so many things that game gets right that other games are lucky if they get one of those things right and become best in their genre just for getting that one thing right. And Breath of the Wild does them all right and the best.
There is still one complaint I have about Breath of the Wild, and I get it. I wanted weapons that didn't break. I wanted weapons that I could like that I could truly like have and like either restore or even upgrade, and like because there was something about Zelda. And I remember it actually literally from like Twilight Princess. I remember it just felt so good to get your sword at the start of, especially like a really good sword. And eventually the master sword, I think you can get, it doesn't break, but like it was always good to find like that really good, like get that early, getting the sword in Legend of Zelda. It just felt like it was a part of your identity as a hero, like having that sword. And I think that was the part that I just felt like I lost a little bit of that identity in Breath of the Wild. That's my only complaint about it.
There's a certain kind of lightness to the way the world feels, the openness of the world feels. It's not like any other game, right? It's uniquely that company, uniquely that.
Yeah, no one else.
Nobody else creates that. You're right. Under the pressure of having created a bunch of Zeldas, they were like really great games to be able to deliver once again.
Nintendo is like the mecca. Like they're the best. That's all there is to it.
Do you understand how that company works?
No,
Like they're not.
I don't at all.
Same. Yeah, Jeff said just like me. I literally don't know how Nintendo works.
Like, because I mean, they've been around for a long time and still to be able to deliver.
I kind of rationally or irrationally just worship. It's just sort of, if it's from Nintendo, it's going to be great.
Mhm.
And even if my first impression is like, wow, they're doing what weird thing with.
I like Nintendo. Not only that, Nintendo does just, they take risks with their games. Like they genuinely take risks. I think something that's crucial about Nintendo is Nintendo prioritizes, like, there's something very, very Japanese about the games they make. What I mean about that is like a lot of Japanese game developers, when they're making games, like Western game developers get bogged down in all of this bullshit. And you see this when you're in the industry. Western developers are like, they get bogged down in like, yeah, you got like the finance bros being like, oh, can we make enough money off this? You have like the giga woke people being like, oh, is our game woke enough? You have the giga artsy people who are like, oh my God, is my game making a statement? Is it a piece of art? They get bogged down in all of this shit. And if I was to describe like what a lot of the Japanese developers do, their number one thing is, hey, is this fun? It's like, hey, is this just fun? Like, are we having fun with this? And that's like always at the top of their mind. Not, am I making some cultural statement? Am I woke enough? Am I making enough money? Like, what's really funny is if I was to actually describe what I think has really hurt Western game development, it's a mixture of hyper woke people trying to make all the games woke, and then hyper chud finance bros trying to make all the games be the most capitalistic money making adventures, right? And you actually have this weird tension between the fucking finance capitalist bros and the fucking giga woke people, and it bogs down so many games. Like you'd be like, I want you guys to know, I'm not trying to like parrot, Asmongold when I talk about this, but I am serious, chat. Working at Riot, and you could probably, maybe you'd have to pull this out of Jeff, and he'd maybe admit it in a interview, but that tension is a real thing. I'm not, and by the way, this is not me saying, oh, like games shouldn't be woke or games shouldn't have been more like, aware of like marginalized community. I'm saying like they overly emphasize that, like that there were literal like company arguments about whether games were too woke, whether they weren't woke enough, and then you had the fucking finance bros coming in trying to make money, being like, oh, well, fucking sex and tits sells, like. And like you literally had like what you guys are seeing in the culture wars was playing out internally at video game companies. And it was so distracting and so bad. Yeah, but but like here's the thing, it was like tech bros versus artists, but also versus like political agenda people. I mean, I think here's my count. Like, you guys want to know something that Asmongold actually gets right about the landscape of video games? Chat. I literally saw the woke game developers. I have seen that ruin so many games. I have not only have I seen it ruin games, I've seen it ruin companies. Now, the part that he doesn't talk about, which Jeff is also talking about now here, is I've also seen the fucking finance dude bros and the business people, the fucking MBA people also ruin games. So I've seen it from both.
The controller this time, and then you get your hands on it and you're like, God. My son and I, we both played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and he makes games also, and we had this moment where he's like, I'm so sad after I played it, and he's like, I know I'll never make anything like this. And it's that weird, like, you honor it so much and think it's so great.
Yeah.
Red Dead was like that for me. Red Dead Redemption 2 is
Yeah. Wait,
that's a game
Jeff,
I put on the shrine.
taste.
Not just how brilliant the game itself is, but as a game maker, as a craftsperson who makes games, how the hell do you make that? Like, only Rockstar, with all the years of making those types of games, no one else can come in entry level
Mhm.
and compete with that.
It is why. I mean, I'm ready and excited to play Crimson Desert, chat. But like, how do you ever beat Red Dead Redemption 2? I've even told you guys that I don't know if GTA 6 will beat it. Like, there's something so perfectly done about it that they captured just so well.
So that's
Purely
insane.
single player, narrative driven.
I think Crimson Desert will be a great game, but here would be my like there will be things that they captured in the single player of Red Dead Redemption 2 in details and in subtle things that Crimson Desert won't even attempt to touch.
So you also respect that kind of like pure.
Yeah. I don't give anyone a pass. I feel like a lot of gamers and game developers, like, if it has writing, they're like, the story's so good. I'm like, actually, very few games have great story, but Red Dead has a great story. It's got great character development. It's got a good plot, and the dialogue is like, it's like Tarantino
Mhm.
level high quality dialogue. So Red Dead's up there. I have my other games that make the list for me, and these are, both these games are, I would never tell you to play them. EverQuest and Rust are two of the most defining games.
So then he's making this Legend of California game, and he said that Red Dead Redemption 2 and Rust are in his top games.
To
I
me
think
and
we
my
need to try
career and
this.
my life. And Rust, I would never recommend somebody go and play it. Rust will come calling to you if you are up to play it.
It is a cult. It's 100% a cult.
That's
When you're ready, it will come
it will
down.
come down.
The
It will let
sky
you
will
know.
part. Okay.
In Rust, you are considered a complete noob that doesn't know what he's doing if you don't have 1,000 hours. Even 1,000 hours,
1,000
people will be
hours.
like, oh, you only have 1,000 hours
Yeah.
in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Rust, and a lot of inspiration for me in the game I'm working on now. My game is not like Rust in that it's not a PvP centric game, but it will have PvP.
What aspect of Rust do you draw inspiration from? This.
I love the resetting world. It's a
Yeah.
great game mechanic, and it's one that I want to evolve and work upon.
How often is the world reset? Do you think in Legend of California?
I don't know yet. Probably every month. We want it to be
Ooh.
fast enough that you're not too attached, but we want to make it rewarding. Like, the trick is coming up with not why am I upset that the world resets, but why am I excited that the world resets? And we know players can get very angry about resetting worlds, but anybody who's played 5,000 hours of Rust, like some of us, the resetting world is the magic. I can't wait for the next reset because
Yeah.
the adventures
Yeah, because sometimes like the beginning of the adventure is actually one of the best parts. It's why I think like the beginning of Breath of the Wild is actually one of its best
starts
parts.
all over again. And if you want to play the first time with me, like, if we want to play World of Warcraft and I'm level 80 and you're level 1, there's no meaningful experience we can have together. But in Rust, we just wait for a reset and we're both naked on the beach, from minute 1.
What about the experience of Rust where you can have everything taken away from you? Is that part
We're not
that
doing that.
great,
Yeah.
because that feels awfully stressful.
See, I just lost the entire Rust audience when I said we're not doing that
Um,
because if you're a Rust player, you're not thinking you're going to lose everything you have. You're thinking I'm going to take everything somebody
Yeah,
else
yeah. No
has.
one in
so my
Rust ever
perception
thinks
of the
you're
Rust
losing.
audience is there's like 3 people, they're in a castle somewhere. It's a very exclusive group.
They are highly skilled, highly passionate, highly knowledgeable. But yeah, it's an inspiration for me. That and EverQuest were defined, and the amount of hours I've logged
All
in
right.
both those games are insane.
We got through that section. It's time. It's time, chat. What was it called? Crimson Desert. Please tell me it's not ready? Oh no. Oh no. Oh, it's probably because I'm patching. Time to play Dragon, dude. Dimoke tried to convince me that Dragon Age Veilguard was a good game. And I just couldn't get into it. It was so like Disney, like I don't know. It was so and like so the dialogue killed me. Like there was just aspects of the dialogue it just threw me out. I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't for me. Yeah, it was way too woke. Let's be honest. It was just because it was woke. Guys, I'm in Asmongold waiting room now, okay?